Well, Anthony, I might get you next to me. Perfect. Hello, gentlemen. So first up, we've got Anthony Ryan, CEO of Beta, who's going to share insights on how Brisbane is growing, how it's preparing itself for the upcoming Olympics and positioning itself as the events capital of Australia. Anthony, we've heard a lot this morning from the Premier, the Minister. The excitement around 2032 is just growing day by day. And what Queensland has in store is very exciting. I'll leave you take the floor now for a little bit of a deep dive, and then we'll get into some questions.
Thank you. I was getting ready to get up onto the lectern, so I apologise. I'm going to have to put my notes down one page by another, so I'll be a little bit clunky. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anthony Ryan. I'm the CEO of Brisbane Economic Development Agency. We are the city's key driver of investment, business growth, investment, tourism and events. And last year we delivered over $1 billion of economic impact alone through our work. We're also the RTO and the Convention Bureau. Brisbane's visitor economy in the last financial year had an extraordinary success. We were valued at $10.7 billion, and that is growing from year to year. And I believe we're one of the most promising growth drivers for Queensland over the coming decade. Of course, this growth will be accelerated by fully seizing the moment of the Brisbane 2032 green and gold runway and capitalising on our region's remarkable growth. We're poised to create a powerful and enduring legacy for our city and state. I need to click, do I? Where's the clicker?
Hang on, I've got one. Has anyone else got a clicker? I've got a clicker. There you go.
So hosting the Brisbane 2032 Olympics and Paralympics Games, I really want to put this out to each and every one of us. This is a gift. It's an extraordinary gift for our city. It's an extraordinary gift for our state. The path of 2032 will propel our city and our region like no other, never before, into the global spotlight. After the announcement, you would have heard this for sure. The hits on Google surged over 1,000%. And after LA 28, the world will be absolutely fascinated and intrigued that the world's next mega event is coming to this city. The announcement of 2032 is a gift to the Queensland visitor economy. It will certainly propel us to the next phase of our story. There is no doubt that the Brisbane 2032 Olympics and Paralympic Games will be a catalyst for growth and infrastructure. Not to mention the opportunities over the next 8 years or 7 years that will sort of contribute to the business events, the major events, our visitation. So what I want to do is just quickly start and have a little bit of a look at Paris. Just a few months ago, we all watched Paris host the Games. It was an extraordinary Games. They certainly played to their strengths. We remember the beach volleyball at the Eiffel Tower. We remember the equestrian at Versailles. They are all incredibly, beautifully presented. So the global spotlight on our city, like never before, will be showcasing what makes Brisbane unique, and that is going to be our challenge. And nailing this brand is going to be paramount. So with the world's eyes focused on this moment, it's time to stamp our brand together, I believe, for the capital and for our state. We need to play to our strengths. That is what Paris has taught us very, very clearly. We need to celebrate and amplify what is our unique offering. We, collectively, are known for our natural beauty, our breathtaking landscapes, our extraordinary 60,000-year First Nations culture, our World Heritage rainforests, our world's largest sand islands, and all of these beautiful, unique attributes sit comfortably alongside our world-class innovation. We are the home of Gardasil. We're the home of the Gardasil vaccination. We're the world leaders in quantum physics and quantum computing. We are world leaders in AI and medtech. Likewise, Beta knows the catalytic superpower of major events and business events. They are the ability and have the ability to nourish our economy. For example, next May, Brisbane will host ATE, the NRL Magic Round, and the Australian Heavy Vehicles Conference at BCE. So Suncorp will also be alive next year with the British Irish Lions, the State of the Origin, Luke Combs, Metallica. The balance is extraordinary. As one of the world's top 25 global cities, one of the world's top 25 sporting global cities, we've hosted the FIFA Women's World Cup, and we're gearing for thrilling major events like the NRL Magic Round, British and Irish Lions Tour, the Australian PGA, and in a couple of months, the Brisbane International. This is Brisbane's and Queensland's time, and we are already starting from an extremely strong base. Your capital, for want of a better term, is smashing it out of the park in many ways. We've been named by Time Magazine, Frommer's, American Express Travel, and the New York Times in the top 50 cities to visit in the world right now. These are accolades that have never come to this capital city. We're home to Australia's #1 hotel, the Carlisle, number 25 in the world. Tangalooma Beach was named in the list of world's best beaches in Lonely Planet, and the list goes on. It's an extraordinary, lucky time and exciting time for this city. And more than ever, it's crucial to use the power of partnerships to drive visitation and supercharge Brisbane's extraordinary momentum. As a sector, I would now like to just highlight quickly the importance of doubling down on the capital, Brisbane. Our region's booming reputation and surging visitor economy have driven, as I said before, a record $10.7 billion in visitor spending. It's a massive 37% jump from 2019. And as an example, Beta's destination marketing campaign, run by our wonderful team, Brisbane Favours the Bold, up for an award tomorrow night, by the way, continues to fuel holiday visits from both domestic and international markets. This campaign alone generated over $85.5 million in economic impact and $10.4 million in direct bookings. We have world-class destinations like Howard Smith Wharfs, West Village, South Bank, Fish Lane, here at Queen's Wharf, Tangalooma, and they're all creating more to see and do for our residents and visitors. But this is the key to what I want to say. None of this would be possible without collaboration. Our strategic partners, and I see Gert Jan in front of me, Trish O'Callaghan and her old role at TEQ, the work that we do with state, it's been second to none. And we realise that collaboration needs to be our superpower if we are to take control and advantage of this moment in time. Economic development is a team sport, and we have the world's biggest mega event that will become our marketing megaphone for our state. This is definitely our time, and the way we come together and work together and amplify that opportunity is our challenge. Finally, I want to talk to you about collaboration. Collaboration is the secret sauce to ready us as a city and as a state and as a country. Not only for the Brisbane 2032 Games, but to take advantage of what each and every one of the speakers have said today. I believe Beta and the work that we're doing is spearheading collaboration in this city to supercharge investment, tourism, and events in our city. In 2032, as an example, we created the Better Brisbane Alliance. Some of the members of the group are here in this room right now. They work as a collective in a humble way, in a collective way where we leverage the wisdom of each other. We have Gert Jan, we have Harvey Lister, Patricia O'Callaghan, Elsa D'Alessio, Bernie Hogan, Juliet Alabaster. We are doing this in a way that is about getting things done, not about boundaries, not about RTO boundaries, but at what can we do together. To capitalise on this incredible momentum Brisbane is experiencing, we must keep working together to attract major and business events and promote the region internationally. As I said before, everyone in this room has the power to leverage this opportunity that 2032 presents. When people work together, I think, as I said before, transformative things can happen. The state of the city, and this is a challenge to each and every one of you, what we put together this year with the Better Brisbane Alliance, with BETA and our partners, was a deep dive into what was the value proposition of our city. And I think we need to use data and analytics to strengthen our story, to say where that growth area is. The figures behind me, validated by Deloitte Access Economics, should excite all of you. Your capital is thriving and it's getting stronger. Brisbane is definitely a city alive with opportunity and is a city with unstoppable momentum. And collectively, we will all benefit. So in conclusion, we know that having a strong capital city will not only benefit our local industry here in Brisbane, but will ensure widespread economic prosperity across this incredible state of Queensland. As we look to the future, we welcome your ideas, your partnerships and expertise as we continue to shape Brisbane into a city that competes on the global stage. I'm passionate about the sustainable economic growth of our region and our state, and I view today as an incredible opportunity to further accelerate Queensland's growth in this space. There's truly never a better time to be in Brisbane. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Good to see all those numbers going in the right direction. And I think when 2032 comes around, the eyes of the world will be on Brisbane, and then get them out to the regions, especially if you've been here supporting an athlete or you've won a gold medal. You deserve a luxury escape. And speaking of which, I mean, what an incredible success story Luxury Escapes has been and continues to be. We're so lucky to have co-founder and CEO Adam Schwab with us here today. Good morning.
JT, thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.
What you've built, globally recognised now, curating luxury experiences for people is fantastic. I love that you've now got a site in Victoria, in Melbourne, where people can go and have a touch point. I love a tech business who's now going back to the people. I'm really interested to hear about that. But what we're also going to hear from Adam today is about understanding that clients grow the business, or understanding what the clients need that grows the business, and that customer service and strong partnerships with operators are central to Luxury Escape success. Questions coming, but first up, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I might stand up actually, if it's okay.
Yeah, please do.
I couldn't agree with Anthony more actually. I come from Melbourne, which is a bit of a dumpster fire, and coming here, you've got a state so geared to tourism, a premier so geared to tourism. We wouldn't get this crowd in Victoria if you paid people to come. So to be able to speak in front of such an amazing group of suppliers and part of the tourism ecosystem is a real honour. I'll talk quickly about what we do. I've only got 7 minutes. I'm a startup guy, so we always talk about what problems we're solving. So we're a two-sided marketplace essentially. And actually, in fact, most people in this room hopefully participate in both sides of our marketplace to some degree. So what are we solving? Let's talk about customer first. Buying travel is pretty hard. I've got a tiny little excerpt from Booking.com, the world's most valuable travel business, probably after Google. 1 million hotels, 1.2 million apartments. If you don't know where you want to go to a site like Booking or Expedia or hotels is actually pretty challenging. They're not great for guiding you where you want to go. If you know you want to stay at the Hyatt in Brisbane, that's great. They'll distribute that room. But if you don't know where you want to go, if you want to go on a holiday somewhere, probably not the kind of site for you. Other thing is everything's the same. So OTAs, large and main street agents sell effectively commoditized products. They commoditize you guys. We try not to do that. So we create our own bespoke exclusive packages. We started with hotels. We now sell pretty much everything. So experiences, villas, cruises, tours, go through the list. So I guess the problem is, what problem do we solve for our supplier partners? I'm going pretty quick. I've got 17 slides. I've got to really light this candle. So the problem we solve for our suppliers is So making incremental sales is hard. If you're competing against a million other properties on booking.com, standing out's pretty tough. So what we built our business on was curating and showing our partners in their best possible light. And we do that in a lot of different ways. I'll talk about that in a second. Here's a really small example. So you see some of our ultra luxe properties, which are some of the best properties in the world. And we also sell lots of experiences too. So we're certainly not just a hotel booking site. Incremental sales are hard. We had almost 1 million travellers with Luxury Escapes last year. Interestingly, 100,000 came to Queensland alone. By far the #1 destination for Luxury Escapes customers, both from Australia and outside Australia. To be honest, the lead is yours to lose, and stuff like this ensures you will keep this lead. Usually 95% of our customers weren't planning on going to where they went to before they saw it on Luxury Escapes. That goes to probably the most important part of our business, and one of the most important things for you guys is incrementality. There's nothing worse for a hotel than having an empty room. That's dead revenue. That's money you're losing every single day. And the same for a tour operator, same for an experienced seller. What you don't want is empty spots on whatever you're selling. What we exist to do is sell those zeros. 70% of our customers weren't planning on going to the destination they went to. So we genuinely changed customer behavior, which I think is super relevant for here. So how do we do it? We do it in a lot of different ways. Here, I'm just pointing out some of the really key points. So we own a lot of our own media. Yeah, we advertise on the usual suspects, newspapers, TV, radio, Google, Facebook, Meta, Insta, etc., etc. But we also have our own magazine. This goes to 20,000 of the best travel customers in Australia. We have our own TV show, #2 show on Foxtel. I think the #1 show on free-to-air as well, on Channel 10, as well as Foxtel. The only show that's more watched on Foxtel other than the sport is Gogglebox, which is really a sort of half broadcast show. Incredible hosts. We showcase destinations in their best form. We work with local retail tourism experts. We want to make sure our destinations look incredibly good. We want to sell incremental room nights for you guys and incremental experiences for you guys. As JT said, we actually like old school, and I'm sure Screw will agree with me. Retail travel is far from dead. We built what we think is the world's most luxurious travel store in Melbourne. Hopefully we'll have one in Brisbane soon. We'll have one in Sydney soon as well. We want to showcase our partners in the most beautiful travel retail environment in the world. This has actually been an incredible activation for us. Half of the people who bought from our store in the last year weren't Luxury Escapes customers before they bought from us. There's a big chunk of the population who actually don't buy online. So we have a big influencer team. The power of influencers can't be understated. In a world where we live in social proof, and in a world where travel is a lot about trust, influencers are super important. We work with everybody from Sam Kerr to Caitlin Ford to Gary and Matt, who do our signature series, to Dana Chan, who we launched a signature series today, to obviously Miguel and Nat Bass up there, going to places around the world and showcasing the amazing opportunities the travellers have to go to new and exciting destinations. How do we use technology to further improve what we do? Here's just a couple of small things we're doing. One thing we do is personalisation. So we used to be what we call a dumb broadcaster. So we got 1,000 people in this room, pretty much most people from Queensland. If you go back 2 years, we would have sent everybody the same email if you're a subscriber to our mailing list, which is pretty stupid because JT might want to go to Maldives for his first year anniversary, and Anth might want to go to Europe to see his relatives, and everybody wants something different. So what we built is our own personalisation engine. So we take a heap of first-party data. We don't use third-party data. We don't do what Meta got into a bit of trouble for. But we look at what you've looked at, what you've told us you want to do, how long you've spent on the site, how long you've spent on certain deals, what you've interacted with, and we build personalised interactions. And we're seeing 4x the conversion, both in terms of revenue and more importantly in terms of engagement. This allows us to also curate specific one-to-one destination email. Someone's really interested in going to the Gold Coast, we'll personalise an email for you about the Gold Coast specifically. Something that's been close to my heart, and I think is really relevant here, is something we built called Trip Planner. So this is the holy grail of online travel sellers, is trying to build the connected trip. Everybody's tried it, nobody's actually done it right. We think we're getting pretty close to getting there. We've got a relatively small crack team on this. So what we're trying to build here is the ability to plan your trip, but also have a dynamic living trip while you're away. So here's just a little example. Somebody wanting to come to Brisbane, we're showing this is a lot of often free experiences you can do in Brisbane. You then build off that to create what we think is an incredible trip. You can share it with family and friends both before and during the trip. You can add your hotels. I've chucked in the Carlisle here. Choose restaurants, choose things to do. while you're away, we'll also start suggesting things to you. Here's a great restaurant in Brisbane. Why don't you try that? Here's a concert that you didn't know was on while you're here. Why don't you buy a ticket for it? The ability to create a living, breathing itinerary is something nobody's been able to achieve, and we're trying to use what we think is incredible user experience, but also the fact that we sell everything. So we don't just sell the bed in the room like a Booking.com or Expedia. We sell experiences, we sell cruises, tours, villas, etc. You can't build a connected trip unless you sell everything. So far, we've had Trip Planner live for probably almost 18 months. We've celebrated 30,000 birthdays, 20,000 honeymoons, 10,000 anniversaries, and somehow 1,700 baby moons. So people are using this. We think this is a really great future for travel, and what more importantly, a great way to build incremental spend while on your trip. So I think I'm over time, so I'll hand back to JT and the guys.
Thanks, mate. I'm booking that trip to the Maldives through Luxury Escapes.
Hopefully.
Only 50 weeks to go. Yes, I got married 2 weeks ago. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very exciting for me. I reckon for you, Anthony, it must have been very exciting listening to the Premier speak, talking about increasing routes. Anthony is with Brisbane Airport. I have to say, Luxury Escapes is a fantastic travel show. It's great that there's a travel show on 7, 9 and 10 now. Not to bring it back to Great Outdoors, but we did work with Brisbane Airport to get to Texas. I shot a bunch of stories in Texas, and it was largely with Brisbane Airport, because I'm sure that you all know there are direct routes from Dallas to Brisbane and vice versa, which is huge for Brisbane Airport, huge for the US market, and huge for Australia. So Anthony Ryan is maybe going to speak a bit about that, but he's also... I got excited about my stuff. Let's talk about Brisbane Airport. Let's talk about upscaling. Let's talk about what is happening in Brisbane in the lead up to the Olympics and how exciting that is for you guys.
Yeah, great. Thanks, James, and welcome everyone. Before I get into that, I'm going to stop here for a second. Connecting the world, creating the future. It's not just a great slogan. It's actually BAC's mission. And when I was asked to speak, I thought, well, what's the conference theme? It's future focused. It's built right into our DNA, right into our culture. We live and breathe this every day. It actually is on our home screen of our laptops. It's also a great thing to say when your boss asks you why you're late for a meeting. You can just say that you're busy doing that. It's never worked actually, so don't do that. But I'll get into it. In terms of looking to the future, it's interesting. You know, we look at our route map. Currently, 32 international ports, 26 airlines, incredible connectivity. James just mentioned the route launch to Dallas, and I'll go over a few more just on the next slide. But when you look at a route map for an airport, it's a great way to sort of tell our story, where our gaps are, where we're thinking, where we need to do a bit of work. It's funny, in our sort of line of work, it's not what you've done, but what you've done for us lately. No sooner will you launch a route than somebody will ask for something else. And inevitably, India comes up as a gap in the market. Yes, we're aware of it. I made a joke at the Beta Forum a couple weeks ago that if somebody else comes up to me and says, hey, have you thought of India? I wasn't gonna threaten them, but anyway. But it was certainly, you know, it is a gap in our route network. We are working on it, but also just working on how we can improve connectivity through other Southeast Asian hubs. Some other notable, say, gaps. Northern China, there's some opportunity there. South America isn't connected yet. North America, we're pretty happy with where it is at the moment. I mentioned the Dallas launch, but also there's some Deltas coming on as well. There'll be some more longer-term opportunities in that market, but certainly I think in the short term, South America connectivity, more into China, more into Southeast Asia, onward connectivity to Europe. So the likes of Turkish coming in to say Melbourne and Sydney, we're talking to them, of course, then into India. So the route network will continually evolve, and this is what our team does. We essentially just look at what the future will always hold and try to implement that as best possible. And James, you mentioned Americans, so definitely something to note. We have a lot going on in terms of new route launches. So the big one was American for us. That was the start of northern winter season, or the end of October. Massive, obviously worked with James, other partners that are in the room as well to make that an absolute success. That route's performing extremely well at the moment. Great to see. We also, on the same day, launched Qantas Manila, so thank you for Qantas for that capacity. We also have Delta on Los Angeles coming up in the beginning of December, and then we have Jetstar returning to Bangkok Sorry, not returning to Bangkok, that's a new route, but we are getting our services back to Bangkok on the 13th of December. So there's quite a lot going on in terms of new routes. Coming into the winter season, the summer season, we've got a few ideas as well, and we'll keep going there. So I think, and that's the title slide says it best. We collect tails at the airport, tails being aircraft, so new airlines. But what that means for everyone in this room is that you have a story to tell. And I think I'll reiterate that at the end of this presentation, but we all have a job to do in terms of telling the world about our story and enhancing that connectivity and then getting that through word of mouth. Hey, if you want to come down, there's all these great flight options. It's easy, and before the panel, James and I were talking about the stimulation effects of direct services, and it's absolutely true. So get out there and use our tales to tell your tale. So I'd like to leave that. And then, of course, when you think, this is DestinationQ, it's all about Queensland, not just Brisbane. We are the most connected domestic port in Australia. So we've got 62 domestic ports, both through regular scheduled services, but also through charter operations as well, those sort of gold labels there on the map. In Queensland alone, we have 32 ports. That's over just about half, or over half of our network is based in Queensland. So when we're busy, Queensland's busy. When we get a direct service, it's great for Brisbane, but it's also this onward connectivity to destinations throughout the state. And we just had a download from one of our American partners about how many traffic they were spreading around. I won't go through exact numbers, but there was the onward connectivity that they're seeing through places like Cairns and Proserpine and some of the other up and down the coast, and we can name them all really, especially through their partnership with, well, I'll mention it was United, but so their partnership with VA is pretty impressive. So that connectivity is massive. And even the American services, they're joint ventured with Qantas. So essentially, when you're crossing the Pacific, it's commercially one airline, and that means seamless connectivity to Qantas services throughout the state and throughout the country. So, as we get new services, and I want to thank probably a lot of our partners in the room here, from the government to TEQ to BETA, we work closely with, even Luxury Escapes. We did a campaign with James. Even you're in that loop with Great Outdoors. It all, as Brisbane gets busier and busier, it means more and more for the state. So it doesn't just stay in one spot, it disperses, especially through the tourism product that we have in this state. It's quite impressive, and it just sucks things up from Brisbane really efficiently. So that's what's on store for our network. I'm gonna leave it there for a second. I have a video to show about some of the great work that we do in terms of promoting new routes. So if you want to play that now, it's the American launch.
It was a wonderful flight. You only get to do a few firsts, and this is a first. Good morning.
Yeah.
It's truly a big day for American Airlines. To get a new destination like Brisbane is just amazing. One of the trip of a lifetime.
American Airlines, good morning, please approve southbound. They also approve about the American people.
I love it. Thank you, Anthony Ciccatini. So Anthony is the Head of Aviation Business Development at Brisbane Airport Corporation. One thing you guys do so well is create those media moments and media content. Pete Doherty, as part of your team, he's got to get some credit for that as well. And same with Luxury Escapes, the content that you guys pump out is world-class. And I think, in my personal humble opinion, in 2024, you've got to be making video content if you're in this space. And both you guys do that so well. You know, they say a few things are bigger than Texas. Queensland's 3 times bigger than Texas. Thank you very much. And when everyone's going to come and visit Queensland, their first touch point's really going to be Brisbane. Anthony Ryan, we heard from the Premier and from the Minister this fantastic initiative to work with the government and with the RTOs to really make that customer experience when people hit Brisbane elevated and special. So what's happening in that space?
Well, the Brisbane Welcome You program, so far we've had about 1,500 hosts through that. And the idea really was quite a simple one. We wanted to ensure that we had advocates, ambassadors, really excited and inspired individuals that could welcome to this city. We want Brisbane to be regarded as one of the welcoming capitals of the world. And I think that's going to be really, really important as we get closer to 2032. And we can utilise our major events, our business events as those opportunities to start learning. And that's why we wanted to take that to and extend that program out to Queensland Welcomes You as well, because we think what we've learnt and how that Brisbane Welcomes You program has changed our front face, how people are creating that sense of warmth. I was in Paris for the Olympics a couple of months ago, and one of the things that I think we can do better than Paris is that sense of welcome. Now, the amount of volunteers are going to be extraordinary that we require. So in Paris, there were 5,200 volunteers just for the city of Paris, and then for the Olympics itself, there were 54,000 volunteers required. And they said to us in that first week when we were going to the training sessions, we're probably 50% undercooked. So in their opinion, they needed around about anywhere between 75,000 to 100,000 visitors, welcomers and wayfinders, etc. So it's going to be such an important way that Brisbane and Queensland work together to start creating these foot soldiers that are doing it in an authentic way. I think what Paris did really poorly in that space, they did so many things wonderful, but they almost hired people to welcome, and they didn't really have a passion for the region. They didn't really understand the region. They didn't know where the best restaurants were, the best galleries were, etc. And in fact, in some cases, they're pointing people in the wrong direction, which we noticed, which was not great. So the Brisbane Welcomes You, the Queensland Welcomes You. It's Beda's gift to Queensland to start saying, how do we actually become that welcoming state, that welcoming city, that when people come to this region, come to that's what they remember. They'll remember that warmth.
I reckon sometimes Queenslanders just do that for a bit of a laugh. Like some American tourists ask you which way to whatever, and you go, it's that way, actually.
Exactly.
Bringing a touch of Paris to Australia, Adam, I know I've heard at the new venue in Chadstone, Melbourne, you get a glass of champagne when you go in. That's very nice. And I guess when you're face to face with a client, making sure customer satisfaction happens is a bit more easy. When it's online, how do you make sure that the customer's satisfied at every touch point along the way?
It's a really good question, and it's really hard. And most businesses now have online points of sale as well as in person, and we do a lot of work around conversion optimization. So we're looking at the full funnel. So once someone hits the site, what does the site look like? Is there ability to call? So about a third of our sales come over the phone, funnily enough. So obviously we've got in person, but a lot of people want to call. They don't know where they want to go. They don't really understand the destination. So we're a bit different from a Booking.com in that respect, which is almost purely online. And they're a great business and that's what they do. But we're a bit more of a sort of called a hybrid. So if people want advice, we'll give them advice. If people want to go to TNQ, but they're not really sure where to stay, they don't know what to do when they're up there, we'll give them that advice. If you want to book a 3-night stay in the Gold Coast and stay at Langham, we can do that for you pretty easily as well. So we think that there's not one size fits all, and you've got to accommodate different customers, different ages, different demographics. Sort of younger customers may be more likely to shop online. That said, you go to our store, everybody thinks, oh, it's just sort of older people. It's not at all. You see a complete range of people who want to go in store. So yeah, I think you've got to be really understanding of the customer and be willing to change and move constantly to meet the customer needs.
It blows my mind. I think you've got around 550 employees, something like that. And that's such an investment in human resources to make sure the customer experience is fantastic. We don't have too much time because we want to keep today 2x as much as possible. But what I do want to speak to Anthony about in Brisbane Airport, being the gateway to Queensland, that seamless connectivity, so the user is having as good an experience as they can when they get to Australia and to Queensland, getting out to those regional areas. As we're moving forward to the Olympics, what's Brisbane Airport doing in that space?
Yeah, I think we touched on it a few times already in terms of partnerships. I think that's really one thing that we got to keep working on. If you take it to the technical side, a network can only grow through depth and breadth. So I can only add frequencies on existing routes, or I can add new dots on the map. Simple as that. We don't own the airplanes, though. We're an infrastructure company. We have a runway terminal. But what we can do is spearhead initiatives, or we can support initiatives. And I think, well, we mentioned the partnerships previously. I think more of that, expanding on that. It was great to hear the comment that the AIF will get strengthened from the government, the Attracting Aviation Investment Fund. Things like that will continue to support direct services and then get to that critical mass. And I think we're pretty well there in most markets, but there's still opportunity. Get that critical mass of flow that supports both international coming in and then having the ability to disperse throughout the state easily. And I know we're kind of getting low on time, but we also have the massive upgrade to the airport, the $5 billion investment. And without going into too many details, essentially what we're doing is aligning our route network and our route network aspirations with the infrastructure required on the ground to enable that seamless connectivity.
In a single word, or you can have a sentence if you want, how are you feeling about Brisbane 2030? We'll start with you, Anthony.
Yeah, energized is how I would see it. Energized.
Adam?
Excited.
I can't give it one word.
It's already 6 words.
I would use, I actually thought about this. I'm going to create a word. So it's a mixture of collaboration and leveraging. I'm going to call it co-leverage is the word, because I think that's the secret sauce to our state going forward.
Well, can you please thank our panellists, Anthony Ryan from Beta, Adam Schwab from Luxury Escapes, and Anthony Cincinnati. I did that intentionally for you. From Brisbane Airport Corporation. We're going to take a bit of a break, and I would like to thank our sponsors because they have provided morning tea for us today. So I'd like to acknowledge Respacks, our break sponsor. They were founded in 1999, a group of tour operators to help streamline tourism operations. With 25 years of R&D, Respacks offer customizable software solutions to meet business needs and help connect clients to millions of potential customers worldwide. So they're outside, the Respacks team in the Business Hub, if you'd like to drop in to see them. And if you're having a coffee, we can say a big thank you to our coffee sponsor, Ignite Travel, who present the My Queensland platform. Since launching in 2005, My Queensland has sent over 500,000 passengers to Queensland, a result achieved through Ignite's strong knowledge of the industry and incredible distribution network. Have a break, get a coffee. We'll see you back here in 15 or 20 and we'll get things underway.